with some positive awards, recognizing some people, and then you get me. Oh man. So today I'm going to talk to you, give you your annual brief on substance abuse and suicide prevention. For those of you who don't know me, ha ha ha. Jocelyn Kuda retired a year ago. Retirement's awesome for those of you getting close. Took the suicide prevention coordinator. You guys have already heard from me previously, but for those who have known me for more than a minute, I love going out and talking to soldiers. So it's a great job for me because I get to go out and talk to soldiers. So with that, we're going to get started with substance use or substance. I know we say substance abuse, but really let's talk about substance use and not just substance abuse, okay? So why the hell do we keep doing these classes? Oh, a disclaimer. Y'all know me, you know I curse. It's not a lack of professionalism, it is an emphasis. As a drill sergeant once told me, it is emphasizing different points, okay? So, why are we doing this class? Well, it's inconsistent with military service, right? Using substances, using alcohol specifically, in moderation, is okay. But guess what? We still have soldiers that get in trouble for misusing alcohol, for misusing drugs, and so that's why we continue to have this class. It used to be, hey, don't smoke pot, don't do cocaine, don't do heroin. You guys know not to do narcotics, right? Like, heroin's bad, right? Cocaine, bad. I don't need to talk about those, right? We all know that they're bad. Marijuana, a lot of people have their own opinions about it, right? But in the military, marijuana and the THC derivatives are bad, okay? And those THC derivatives just continue to evolve. And they're just, regardless of the amount of THC, what it's called, it's not allowed in the military. We still continue to see illicit positives on UAs. For the most part, we see that as THC. We can now differentiate between Delta 8 and Delta 9, and we're going to talk about what the two of those are a little bit later. But grand scheme of things, okay, you know drugs are bad, right? But how do we, I want to give you guys some signs of when somebody might be abusing or using substances, different ways you might be able to help, and some referral options that folks have. So the Army's model is a 3-point process, 3 components of the process. Half of the battle is being aware of the situation, right? Like, I'm aware that somebody has got an issue. I'm aware that they're showing signs and symptoms. The next step is just taking responsibility. How many times have you seen somebody that's struggling with an issue and you say, I don't know if I'm comfortable talking to somebody else is going to notice the problem and engage with them. Well, that sounds great in theory, right? But when everybody does that, nobody engages that person does not get the help that they need because they're not aware of the problem. So you've got to take that responsibility, personal courage, selfless service to be able to be the asshole and ask the question and talk to that person and let them know that there's a problem or you see a problem. And make a plan. So don't just go up to them and be ask them and not have a plan of, hey, I've got these referrals or resources available for you. Make sure you have a plan before you go and engage them. I know it's going to break everybody's hearts, but I'm going to cut off about 30 minutes of your briefing time by skipping videos, unless you really, really want to watch the videos. So vote who really, really wants to watch the videos. Wow, it's weird. That's the same vote I get every time. All right, so we're just going to go over the alcohol low risk guidelines, right? So 0, what's 0? And I know you guys can read, but talk to me, what's 0? Yeah, no alcohol, obviously a really low risk. What about with illicit drugs?
No.
0, right? Like, just don't do it, right? Don't do drugs. We'll go back to when we were kids, right? Don't do drugs. You'll hear me say that a lot during this. What about 1?
Like a low risk, like if you have 1 drink.
1 drink per hour, right? 1 standard drink per hour. The bottle of wine, if you drink it in an hour, is not considered 1 standard drink per hour, okay? What about 2? What's 2? I will stare at you guys until you
Moving up to
answer.
2 drinks, 2 standard drinks per hour. So you're increasing alcohol content.
So 2 standard drinks per day if you drink regularly is what's considered low risk, okay? What about 3?
Now it's 3 drinks per day only on special occasions,
Right,
not daily.
correct. If you're not a regular drinker, 3 drinks max per day, okay? Or at a special occasion. Now you're gonna see in this brief, there's a couple of times where they've changed it, they've readjusted it. The Army still, for the most part, goes by the 0, 1, 2, 3, because it's easy, instead of going 0, 1, 2, 4. But 3 to 4 is really your maximum, okay? And 4 is only on a special occasion. I know that's hard, like the awards banquet. 4 would be a special occasion if you don't drink regularly. All right, so a standard drink. You guys know what a standard drink looks like? It's not the double shot, it's the single shot, right? Like 1.5 ounces. We've all played this game, right? Where we're like, well, I only had 1 drink. Yeah, but you had a freaking Long Island iced tea where there's like 3 or 4 different alcohol shots in there. That's your 4 drinks for a special occasion, right? And that was in 1. I laugh about the bottle of wine, but that used to be my measurement for a standard drink. 1 bottle of wine a night doesn't hurt anybody, right? Except for it does, because there's actually 5 standard drinks in 1 bottle of wine. So 5-ounce pours. I like the 9-ounce pours, but 5-ounce pours are your 1 standard drink. And then 12 fluid ounces of beer, or a pitcher holds 5. So 1 glass out of a pitcher when you're sharing with 4 other friends. All right, so again, they've changed this a little bit, but we're gonna go with this guidance. So now men and women are actually equivalent. And it's the 7 drinks per week, not the 14 per week. So, women, 1 drink per day, max of 7 per week, no more than 4 on any occasion. By this, men 2 drinks per day, max 14 per week, no more than 4 on occasion. So what might happen if you guys do have, or if you know somebody who has some high-risk drinking?
When you get a DUI, they can affect their job.
Right. So legal problems,
Family.
family issues,
Health issues.
health issues, financial issues, potential job loss, right? All these are outcomes or consequences. I wouldn't have had my first couple of kids. We should have named them Tequila, right? If I wouldn't have been drinking as much as I was at that point in time. But it can, especially the first one, unplanned pregnancy when I wasn't married, man, that was a critical life decision, right? It changed the outcome of my world for the rest of my life. So understanding that there are some significant consequences when you misuse or overuse is really important. And I think you guys hit them all. Yep, unplanned life changes. Binge drinking, it's just large quantities of alcohol in a single session, right? Which is usually defined 5 or more at any one time for a guy, or 4 or more at any one time for a female. So, again, we talk about this because it continues to be an issue, right? Especially with our younger folks. So, what factors contribute to BAC?
Weight.
Your weight, okay?
How much
Oh,
you
time.
drink, and then over what amount of time you drink it?
Time and how much you drink.
What you're drinking, maybe like beer compared to doing a bunch of shots or something.
Yeah, can be. Type of alcohol. How many people have went out, I know not recently, but when they were younger, they went out to go drinking and they didn't eat before they went drinking. The amount of food and the type of food, right? What about how you metabolize food? Medications you might be taking? All those things contribute to BAC. And you guys are so smart that you didn't say, hey, tolerance, right? Just because you have built up a tolerance, anybody, all the females in here who have had babies understand as you're going through labor, right? Like those contractions get stronger, but they feel right about the same because you build that tolerance for the pain, right? Just because you've built that tolerance doesn't mean your BAC is any less. People who have severe alcoholics, functioning alcoholics, we had a soldier in one of the units that I was in. We went to the range. He exhibited symptoms, signs and symptoms of heat, a heat injury. We took him to the hospital. They ran his blood alcohol. It had been more than 24 hours, and he was still above the legal limit.
After 24 hours.
After 24 hours. He was a functioning alcoholic. So his tolerance was up so high, he needed to drink so much just to feel the effects, that his BAC was through the freaking roof on a daily basis. So, just because you don't feel the effects doesn't mean that your BAC will equate to what you feel, okay? Oops. So signs of alcohol poisoning, if you do see somebody who has any of these signs, call 911, get them to emergency services if you know that they've been drinking, because it could be a life-threatening situation for them. It's more applicable to our younger kids than our more mature folks that are in this room, right? So, okay, so THC. We're going to talk a little bit about THC. So, marijuana is a psychoactive drug. It changes the way you think, changes the way your brain functions, okay? It says that it produces a mind state similar to that of psychosis. So, I told you we were going to talk about Delta 8 and Delta 9. So, when you think of your traditional pot, that is Delta 9, okay? It is derived from the marijuana plant. That THC, Delta 9, is derived from the marijuana plant. THC Delta 8 is derived from the hemp plant. That is why Delta 8 CBD products are legal. They fall under the Farm Bill or the Farm Act because they're a hemp-based product. With that being said, there is no regulation, FDA regulation, for how much they can say or they put in a product. So, if it says THC free could be anywhere from 0, no THC, to I think 0.3 milligrams of THC. There's a big difference there. So your lotions that you use that are hemp-based, your shampoos, your CBD pills, CBD gummies, whatever, all those things, you can test positive on an Army urinalysis for Delta 8, even if you're just using a product that absorbs through your skin. We know all about smoking and vaping, eating and drinking, ingesting, right? But it's the absorption thing that is what's getting a lot of people, because they're still using, I mean, there's hemp lotions all over the place, right? You can't swing a dead cat without hitting a hemp product anymore. So just understand that that is non-conducive to continued military service. It's still a Schedule I controlled substance, but it's just the availability is what's causing a lot of problems. And we are starting to see a lot more in Nebraska. We're starting to see a lot more people testing positive for Delta 8. And a lot of times what we're seeing is they're testing positive for both Delta 8 and Delta 9. So if they're sitting there saying, hey, I don't smoke pot, but I use a CBD, and I use a CBD product, and they're testing positive for Delta 8 and Delta 9, that tells you that some of those CBD products might be using a little bit of marijuana as well to increase their THC effects. So here's where I talked about THC free, 0 THC means less than 0.3%. 3 parts of THC per 1,000 parts, which is the same amount as you get from one joint. So don't do drugs. The other concerning trend that we're running into in Nebraska, not necessarily in the Guard, but in Nebraska as a whole, is fentanyl. So it used to be really cheap. Like now if you go into the store, you notice that baby formula is locked away, right?